Hello, and welcome to Egypt's most important contributions. The calendar. The calendar has been an incredible contribution that most people do not realize started in the Egyptian society. The calendar was developed so the Egyptians could track the flooding of the Nile River. They needed to keep track of the dates in order to know when to plant and harvest crops. The Nile River flooded every year and brought new fertile soil called silt. The calendar has morphed and changed over the years. Here lie 3 examples of the changes the calendar has gone through. This is an early Egyptian calendar found in the Karnak Temple. Stay tuned to know what that is. Years later, the paper calendar was widely used to track days and time. Today, people literally carry their calendar around in their pocket or purse. This development during the Egyptian civilization has been a significant contribution that we continue to use to this very day. Pyramids, palaces, and temples. Another contribution that the Egyptian society made is the construction of pyramids, palaces, and temples. These buildings are important, but the construction of them helped Egyptians develop astronomy, mathematics, and engineering. These are all very useful tools in our society today. Much of what architects and engineers do to build modern-day structures can be traced back to the building of pyramids, palaces, and temples. This is the Karnak Temple. The Karnak Temple is one of the greatest structures that the Egyptians ever built. Egyptian pyramids were built as tombs for pharaohs. They believed that the mummification of the pharaoh and the burial in a pyramid would help them to the afterlife. This is an Egyptian palace. Ancient Egyptian palace where the pharaoh, his family, and his staff lived. These buildings were very detailed. Look at all the color. Mummification. Mummification is the process of wrapping a dead body in linen cloths. This is a tradition in the Egyptian culture where the pharaoh was mummified. It was believed that the process, as well as burying the pharaoh in a pyramid, would help them to the afterlife. The organs of the person being mummified were removed and the bodies were stuffed with linen, among other things. The bodies were wrapped from head to toe in linen strips. Papyrus. Papyrus was a paper made from a reed. The Egyptians made this paper and were able to write on it with ink, and this was able to be moved around and stored in different places. Before the development of papyrus paper, writings were stuck on buildings and were much more difficult to move. This is papyrus paper. Imagine having to write on that. Looks pretty rough, right? Hieratic script. Hieratic script was developed in Egypt and was an easier hieroglyphics to write. It was developed after hieroglyphics were introduced. This kind of script also allowed for the writing to be moved from one place to another as it was written on papyrus paper. As writing became easier, more people were able to write, which was a great way for people to communicate with one another. Hieratic script is still quite complex. However, it's simpler than hieroglyphics. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video.